Hello and welcome to the Make Money with Mace podcast. I'm your host Mace, and let's talk some Week 5. But before we get right into that, I've been having a pretty good month of betting NFL, 16 and 10 so far, and it's not been like baseball, right? Where when I bet baseball, I search for the plus signs, like teams to win by 2, teams to cover, able to search those out a lot easier than straight money line bets. It's just a harder thing to find in the NFL, and when you're getting basically even odds on every single team to cover, whether they be a dog or a favorite, it's a lot easier to take those as instead of just the straight money lines, because a lot of the time the straight money line is not worth it. Um, you know, sometimes you don't want to take minus 500 just to see something go in. But as I say all of that, I'd like to get right into it. Going to be a little bit of a quicker one, not as much detail in some matchups, but feeling pretty comfortable regarding the matchups in general, and mention potential over under favorites, dogs, whatever the case may be. So the first game, obviously tomorrow, recording this tomorrow, the first game is tonight. It is Washington hosting Chicago, and this is my best bet. Washington to cover. It's a 6-point spread in DraftKings and FanDuel, 5.5 elsewhere. And honestly, I don't understand why Washington would only be a 3-point favorite on a neutral field. I think a lot of it is just the public in Vegas don't really fully believe in Washington yet. They are I believe they're a 2-2. Yeah, they're a 2-2 football team with their 2 losses coming to Philadelphia and Buffalo. And I think they're going to be in a position where they beat teams they should beat and lose to teams they should lose to. But in the case of Washington and Chicago, the roster talent difference is just pretty staggering. I don't think a lot of people realize how good Washington's defensive line is. And their corners are like Emmanuel Forbes, I don't really like. But Cameron St. Juste and Kendall Fuller and Jeremy Curl are very solid secondary pieces. And obviously Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, monsters. And Washington's got good weapons on offense too. Like Terry McLaurin's a household name at this point. Jahan Dotson's pretty good. Curtis Samuel's really solid. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson are good. And the offensive line has been playing better. They played better against Denver and Philly, obviously. But overall, I think that Washington is just a much more complete football team that can play complementary football. I think they're better coached, will end up being better prepared, and that's why I think they're going to win tonight. And then we got Jacksonville and Buffalo in London, 9:30 a.m. And it's hard to bet against Buffalo, but it's also hard to bet against a team traveling to London against a team that has been in London. And I think Jacksonville can cover a 5.5-point spread. Obviously, they've been a little erratic, and Buffalo does have one of the best rosters in the NFL, if not the best. So that's a funky one. I'm probably going to stay away from this one. I do think the over's at 48, and I'm going to keep an eye on that. But Josh Allen has had issues playing against Jacksonville, if I remember. He had that, but that was in Jacksonville. That was in Duval County as opposed to in London. So I don't really know how this game is going to go. The London factor throws everything off, but if you wanted a safe bet, it's hard to bet against Buffalo. I would take Buffalo in this case. 5.5 is not a lot for them. And Josh Allen, I think all but 10 of his victories have been fewer than 10-point victories. So when they win, they kill teams. So if you believe in Buffalo, take them at that 5.5 mark. Then we got Houston going to Atlanta. This is going to be a fun game. This might be my over game because I think the over is only 41.5, 41. You kidding me? Houston can put up points. Nico Collins is really good. I think just people don't know what they're watching yet with Houston, with CJ Stroud and how good he's been. And I also don't think people realize Atlanta's offense is fine. They will lose to teams they should lose to, but beat teams that at or below their level. And I think that that's the case with Houston. But Both teams trying to obviously get to 3-2, take control of their divisions, or be in contention of their divisions. Houston trying to take control. Tampa is kind of in the driver's seat for the NFC South, but I think Atlanta overall is a better team, and that will show. But I do think the over/under at 41 is really pretty low for these teams because they can both put up points in the right circumstance. So that's a game I'm keeping an eye on, but I'm leaning Atlanta. I do think it'll be a fun game, though. And a not so fun game is I think Detroit might kill Carolina in the Dome. That's a tough game for Carolina to try and win. Most FanDuel's at minus 550 money line. Are you kidding me? Minus 470 for Detroit. They are much better. It's a 10-point spread. It's a little rich, but Detroit is looking really, really good. So I'm going to lean Detroit. They might end up as one of my favorites probably. Definitely not going to take a money line minus 500. That's crazy. That's just too much. Oh, then we got... Actually, I just saw my actual favorite. But Tennessee and Indy, I'm going to stay away from this. I'm going to enjoy watching it from afar. But Indy is a 1.5 point home favorite, which means that Tennessee would be the favorite at home, which they should. They're a much better home team. But I do think that this might see some points. Indy, like Anthony Richardson is the best quarterback to not be completing 50% of his passes I've ever seen. He's still super raw, but if he gets the right coaching, I think he'll end up really pretty dang good. But at this point in time, it's hard to tell, and Vrabel obviously is a well-oiled machine. We know what he's going to do. So I really don't know for this game. I'm going to leave it up to fate. So not too sure. And you get to the Giants-Miami. Miami's going to kill them. They are going to kill the Giants. 11 is not enough. 11 is not enough. This is going to be a brutal game for the Giants. Short week. Just got the crap kicked out of them by Seattle, whose defense isn't particularly good. And then Miami, who's got a Vic Fangio coach defense. Obviously, their defense is probably a little worse. I don't even think it's all that bad. I think they don't have the corner to match up with like Stephon Diggs or any of those top flight receivers. So man, we know what the offense can do, and I think the offense will do that against the Giants. Pretty easy analysis on this part. And then we got another game where this is maybe the most automatic bet I've seen. What's the number at? So New Orleans, New England is at 40 for the over-under, and I can tell you with certainty that this game is going under. Both these teams are allergic to scoring points. Let me take a look right now. So the Saints have not covered an over in their last 10 starts, and the Patriots are 4-6 in over-unders. Both these teams are dreadful when it comes to scoring the football, and it's going to continue to be that way. There's no shot this game goes over. Now that I've said that out loud, it probably will go over, but I think 40 is just far too much for both these teams, especially with a gimpy Derek Carr and how lethargic the Patriots offense is. That's going to be ugly game. Oh man, why is it so close? Baltimore being a 4-point road favorite, that's a lot of points. That's not that many points, honestly, for the talent disparity between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I mean, we're talking about a Pittsburgh defense that just got lit up by C.J. Stroud. And with that being the case, I really think that Baltimore is going to be dominant in this game. I don't really see a world where Pittsburgh can compete. I think Pittsburgh's coaching staff is in a bit of a crisis. I think Tomlin's going to have his first losing season, and this is going to be part of it. I think the Ravens are in the driver's seat to win the division, especially with the Joe Burrow injury. So with that being the case, I think Baltimore is a pretty easy pick in this game. I don't know yet who my favorite and all that stuff's going to be, but yeah, it's going to be hard not to take for Baltimore. Not loving a lot of dogs this week. Might be a tough week for the dogs. We got Philly. No, we don't have Philly. We've got Cincy and Arizona, and Cardinals are only +3. I think Cincy's just not right. I think Burrow's not right. And until Burrow's right, I don't really have confidence in them. You hope to see him improve this week. You see some improvement with his health and whatever else. But at this point in time, it's going to be really hard to take Cincy in anything. And Arizona's been feisty. They've got a lot of fight to them. I think they're well coached. I think they've got a good thing going on. And with that being said, I think that Arizona might be my favorite dog this week. So that's what I've got going on there. Philly and the Rams. The Rams are pretty all right. But I think Philly's front will be able to expose the Rams' biggest weakness, which is their offensive line. However, with that being said, if Matthew Stafford can just get the ball out on time in rhythm to Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, I think that the Rams will be competitive. However, I think that there's just a massive talent gap on both sides of the ball. The Rams are very much overperforming right now. They're not really overperforming my expectations. They're mostly just overperforming the general expectations. I thought they'd be like a mediocre, like 8-win team, 9-win team. But to a lot of people, they thought the Rams would be terrible, like 6 wins maybe. And I think that Stafford's just too good. McVay's too good. That whole staff's just too good. And they are able to turn they're able to turn 6th-round picks, 5th-round picks into stars, the way like Puka Nacua has become a star. And Cooper Kupp's coming back soon, so obviously they'll be better when he's back. But just as of right now, Philly's really good. Even on the road, it's not really going to be a road game. Obviously, I think Philly's going to end up taking this. And this is a bad week for the Dogs. Might end up being like a pick Houston and hope type of week for the Dogs. Man, oh man. New York Jets traveling to Denver, always a tough travel. Last year, the Jets did beat Denver, and the Jets' offense will look better in Denver because every offense looks better in Denver. But with that being said, Denver does have a significant home field advantage, but I do not believe them. Betting on the Jets is tough, but betting on Denver is harder. I do think that Denver's offense is just a higher functioning unit, but they don't really have anything scary besides Jerry Jeudy and the Jets' defense. Defense tends to travel. And again, they were really only beat down when they were facing like the talent gap, right? The Cowboys beat them down just because the Cowboys have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. So with that being the case, it might be a good overpick if the number's low enough. Yeah, 43, yeah, that's kind of in that zone. I don't know, though. Then we got Kansas City Chiefs heading to Minnesota. Kansas City is sporting a top 10 defensive unit, which I was not expecting whatsoever. The return of Chris Jones obviously makes their defense significantly better. He's a freak. He's a monster. But also just everybody else has developed well within that Spagnuolo unit, and I think that they're just a really good unit on the whole. Mahomes played poorly against the Jets, but quarterbacks of his ilk, which are like the run around, want to make a play, tend to do poorly against the Jets, as opposed to guys who play in structure and really let the scheme do the work. And I think that's just the nature of cover 3 defenses. Not even cover 3, but just like those shells where you're playing a lot of quarters, quarter, half, cover 2 defenses, where you make the quarterback take everything underneath, and some quarterbacks just don't do a good job of that patience game. And Mahomes has admitted that he doesn't do a good job of that, and Josh Allen does not do a good job of that in general. So I think that in this case, Kirk Cousins plays within system very well, and it could be a sneaky little upset. I wouldn't be shocked, but overall, I think Kansas City's a better team. This might be a live dog. It's not at noon, which obviously affects things, but I will say 53 is a ton for how I think Kansas City's defense can perform. But overall, I think Minnesota has life, I think. And I think that they might be able to do something, but who knows? It's tough to tell. And then getting into the Sunday night game, Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. Game of the week. Huge game. Massive implications. I'm ecstatic to watch this game. There's going to be so much talent on the field, especially like in the trenches. I will say, if there was a clear advantage, obviously coaching, people make fun of Mike McCarthy a lot, but Mike McCarthy did just pants Bill Belichick, who right now he's not the greatest coach of all time, but he's not the greatest coach. He's not the best coach in the league right now, but he's the greatest coach of all time. And Mike McCarthy did just pants him. So I think that Mike McCarthy does not get enough credit as a coach as he probably deserves. Obviously, their red zone offense without Kellen Moore has really struggled. But I think that San Fran is facing a defense that can challenge them for the first time this year. And aside from Trent Williams, the offensive line's been really bad. And Dallas's front is awesome. Obviously, Micah Parsons is the show stealer. But Osa Odigizua and DeMarcus Lawrence wreck games too. It's like they just come at you in waves over and over and over again. The back end obviously is weaker without Trayvon Diggs, but Deron Bland has really stepped up last week. And Stephon Gilmore, even though he's lost a step, is still a very solid NFL player. And the safeties are pretty good too. So it's just a matter of Dan Quinn versus Kyle Shanahan, which is a fun chess match. And I think that even with Purdy playing well, even with all the weapons, this game's going to be difficult because of how poor the pass blocking is. If San Fran's going to do anything, it's going to be through McCaffrey, running the ball, running wild, trying to do it that way. But there's a chance that they don't give you that opportunity. It's going to be all scheme. So that's what I've got in that one. It's going to be super fun. Lots of talent. Lots of fun schemes to be watching out for. And should be a really, really fun Sunday night game. Monday night, jeez. Jordan Love versus Aiden O'Connell. I'll have a bet Monday for that. But man, oh man, that's a tough one. But that's the NFL slate. I've been a little sick, sorry, so I was trying to keep this quick and get to bed nice and early. So trying to live a healthy lifestyle, all of that stuff. So with that being said, a little bit of baseball stuff. I was right about the Twins. Currently very wrong about the other three series, but 1-1 on the best bets. So down with that. And then I think I would like to talk a little NCAA right at the end. And I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm not going to talk about it. It is no longer September. So James Franklin, Penn State, and September bets are off the table a little bit. But there are some fun games I've been looking at. I like UNC and Syracuse. I think the over is banana land, but I think UNC hosting that is a pretty interesting one. Washington State, UCLA is an interesting game. Texas, Oklahoma, obviously is a ton of fun. I think Texas is really good and has a chance to really, really assert themselves. They've got Steve Sarkisian's done a great job. I really like Quinn Ewers as a quarterback. And if you're a Patriots fan like myself, the Patriots will likely not be bad enough to draft Caleb Williams. But whoever the new coach and GM is will be able to have their pick of either Drake May, Michael Penix, Quinn Ewers, KJ Jefferson in the second round. I mean, take two quarterbacks. Why not, right? All jokes aside, I think that Washington, Oregon's this weekend. That's going to be a fun one. Don't take Bo Nix. Bo Nix is terrible. Bo Nix would be the most Patriots pick ever with Belichick still in the building, and I don't trust Belichick anymore to make any sort of rational decisions with a offensive player. But overall, just looking at games, I think Notre Dame has 6-point favorites at Louisville. That's pretty juicy. I'd start doing multiple college best bets. Colorado and Arizona State. Colorado's probably bouncing back. ASU is pretty not good. Alabama is a 1.5-point favorite at Texas A&M. That's a game I've got circled, because if you're thinking Bama at all, I think Bama's pretty good, but I don't know. But it should be a fun weekend of college football. Syracuse UNC is really fun. that it has best bet material written all over it. For the real sickos, we got Rutgers at Wisconsin. That's some real sicko hours there. Nebraska, Illinois. You guys want to watch some Big Ten punt? We got LSU and Missouri. That should actually be pretty fun. I'm probably not touching it, though, just because I don't trust Brian Kelly, and I don't know if Mizzou's a paper tiger or not. Ohio State's a 20.5-point favorite hosting Maryland, if you're into that sort of thing. Washington State, UCLA is a lot of fun. Alabama A&M, that's a lot of fun. Kentucky and Georgia could be fun. Georgia's really still really good, but they're vulnerable this year for sure. Miami and Georgia Tech could be fun. Texas Tech Baylor's always lots of fun. But yeah, lots of fun games. Oh, Oregon Washington's next weekend. My bad on that. The 14th. So yeah, enjoy that one next weekend. But this weekend, there's lots of fun games. Might do multiple best bets. Might do one, but who knows? Having lots of fun betting college and NFL this year. So, gonna keep rolling. And I will not touch hockey because I don't know anything about it. But with the NBA season coming around, I know quite a bit about it, I'd like to think. And I hope to lead you guys in the right direction. So, this has been Make Money with Mace, and signing off. Peace.